how do we make a video like that? What we do is we need two capes for the guy. Get rid of this one and this one. So basically what it is, I could Control C, Control V, copy paste, and then I got this guy and I, using the F1 key, highlighted this area and I exported him as a bitmap. And I'm just going to call that man stand 1. And now with this other one here, I'm going to use the F2 key and I'm going to just modify some of the bits of the cape so it's just not exactly the same as the other one was. So it looks like it's moving maybe. And that's pretty good. And then what I can do is just drag this over here to roughly where it would be. And we need to push it down some level, so we just hit the page down key until it goes down. And then we need the F1 key to grab the other guy and pull him out. Oops, I think I pulled the wrong guy out, so put that guy back, put this guy here. And then we export him. Oops, we need to highlight. So highlight, and then we'll call that man stand 2. And while we're at it, what we could do is we can have him flying down, and we'll just get rid of this guy. And I've done the same thing here to these two capes flying down. Now I don't think we need to fluttering it happens so fast, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in these arms here. And we're going to get rid of these legs. And adjust this one. And we can also adjust his face. Maybe have him looking down. And then get this guy and export him. And we'll call him man fly. And let's just put his eyes back. And then what we need is probably just him with no mouth, and probably back to this guy here. We'll get rid of this and get rid of his legs. And we'll export him as man stand 3. And this will be as he comes from the ground. And we'll just put his other cape on. Oops, hold on. We need to make him, we need to put his arms back on. Hold on. There we go. Export him as man stand 3. Oh, we need to make sure we highlight everything. If you don't highlight everything, you're going to have a problem. Call him man stand 3. Let's replace that one because that previous one was wrong. And then take out this one and put this one on. And do the same thing. Export him out and make that man stand 4. And let's just export out this guy and call it Ray. And we'll pull the mouths somewhere else, but you could export the mouths individually and name them as the phonetic mouths. And let's just pop over to find out what we have here. Let's see. Man stand 1 looks good. Man stand 2 looks good. He coming down. Perfect. So you can see you're going to get a bit of a... Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bring these two guys into GIMP, because they have to be exactly the same size. Okay, I've got my man stand 1 and my man stand 2 in GIMP. I've put them under a layer group. And if you come over here, you'll notice they're not lined up. So what we need to do is line them up, because we're going to flip back and forth between them. So we don't want the man vibrating back and forth when we animate. So we're going to pull him, get this guy and pull it over. Now what you can do is you can change his opacity and then work on getting them to overlay like that, and I think that's perfect. And so I change his opacity back, and what I do is I need to go into image and say auto crop image, and what it'll do is it'll crop the image so that it matches everything in the layer group. And just to make sure, we're going to let that guy go, and he lines up perfect like that, and that's perfect like that. Now what we want to do is we want to save them out. So we're going to export this guy as man stand 1, which is what we want. And then we're going to get this guy and export him as man stand 2. And we're going to need to do that for all the characters that are going to be animated. So we'll need to do that for man stand 3 and 4. But you've seen how you've done that, so we won't worry about how we did that for man stand 3 and 4. I'll just go ahead and do it, and then you'll see it in the animation. Okay, we have Synfig up. I'm going to drag in a few files here that I've got off the web. I'm going to increase the size a bit, move it around so it fits. That looks good. And we're going to, instead of putting our man in, putting them into separate pictures and then flipping back and forth between them, what we're going to do is we're going to create a list. And it's right here. And you need, when you create these list files, you need Moho Switch, FPS 24, and PNG in lowercase. And you're better off with your file names not to have a space in the name, I think. So what we're going to do is in Excel, and if you don't have Excel, you can use Outlook.com's Excel or Outlook.com or Hotmail.com. So what I've put is a 0, a 3, and we're going to put a 6 and a 9 in. These represent the frames. And then these represent the images we want to show. And we come down here, we grab this little guy here, and we just drag it down. And it's going to create a pattern for us, and you can see it just goes man stand 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, which is perfect. And we'll do about 36 frames for that. And let's find our list file here. Here we go. Paste that in. Now this is a tab, you don't want that, so you want to do Control-C to copy it into the clipboard, then do Control-H for find and replace, Control-V to put the tab here, and then put a space here, and then replace all, and you can see it replaced it with a space, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to save that, and then we're going to move that out of the way, and we'll just drag this in over here, and here he is, and right there. So we're going to shrink him down a bit, shrink him down some more, shrink him down a little bit more, and that's good. We'll just put him where we want. And we can see that his little cape is moving. Zoom in a bit. You can see his cape is moving. It's exactly what you want. So let's see, around 36, we have him zoom off. So what we're going to do is we're going to, we're just not going to do anything for now. What we're going to do is we're going to have him fly by. And let's see if we'll have him fly by around 54, but this time we're just going to do a regular one, so we're just going to drag him in. And here he is here. We're going to resize him, and we're going to rotate him a bit. Maybe resize him down a little bit. And I'm going to stick him off the screen here. Right, so he's going to come in at some point. So the last thing we want to do is have him when he's standing up. So I don't know where we want him to come in. So I'm going to just say guess, and we're going to do the same sort of thing. We're going to make a list. So let's get rid of all these guys. And let's use our man stand list and get rid of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back in here and we'll say we're going to have him at 84. So go over to Excel. We'll start this at 84. 84 plus 3. Now, what is 84 plus 3? It's 87. There we go. Get rid of these. Move that down there. I can replace that with 3. I can replace that with 4. And there we go. And we'll just take this whole thing, so I have no idea how many frames. Probably you're going to want more. And we'll come over to here. And we'll bring in our list. And we'll do the same thing we did again. And we're going to save that as, did we overwrite it? Let's see. We did overwrite it. That wasn't very good, was it? Let's save it as man stand list 2, and I'll just behind the scenes fix the other list. So here we go. Fix the other list quickly. And that's good. Now we'll drag in our other guy. So as you can see, you do make mistakes when you do this sort of stuff. And here's our man stand list 2. And we're probably going to want to size him to about this size. Maybe we could bring him over here so he stands up a little bit better. Okay. And we're going to go to the beginning of our animation, and we don't want him on screen, so we're going to drag him down. Off screen. Now we're ready to animate. So we turn on this guy, come in here, probably around frame 36. We're going to want to get this guy. I'm going to squash him. We're going to, and we want really something to show up here, but let's just move him. And that's going to create a waypoint. So we're going to come along here, we're going to move back 1, and we're going to duplicate that so that's no changes, because if not it'll be a gradual change. We don't want that. Let's move this over here, move that over there, and what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to squash him. So we use, I think, this one to squash him. Nope, not that one. Let's try this one. That squashes him. So it looks like he's going to squash down and take off. So just move him down here. And move there. Stay here. Duplicate this one so he's basically the same size again. Supposed to be the same size. Let's get rid of this guy. Oops, let's get rid of this guy. And let's put this guy back here. Duplicate him. There. And then we'll have him shoot up. And basically that's just moving him. So Now I could have used a different picture with his arms up or something like that if you want. So let's just go back here. That's perfect. Then we're going to get the man fly. And we're going to just move it a little bit so we get a waypoint here. And we're just going to move a few frames and have him go by like this. And you want him to go completely off the screen. That's good. And that might be a bit too quick. Now, if you've got a really fast computer, you should be able to play this. I don't think it's going to work, but let's go. Okay, you saw it actually working, and you saw this little guy, he was squishing slowly as he went along. So I want this guy, I want to duplicate this one. There. I probably don't want this guy. And there you go. Ta-da! And this guy comes in. And he goes by. And so probably around about here we want our man stand list 2 to come in. And that was around 66. Let's see what we were looking at for before. 84, so it might be a little, we might have to modify this list, but let's just have him, yeah, so we're looking at 64. Let's modify our list. And we'll modify our list. And here it is. Now, what would probably be better to do is to save this guy out. Close it down, and then reopen it so it rereads the list. Now, Synfig has this habit of sometimes keeping the lists in memory and doesn't flush them out, and what happens is you're probably going to have to close Synfig down, start it back up. Okay, so we're on frame 63 and we want this guy to come up again, and let's move it a little bit. So well, let's make sure we put on animation. Let's move this a little bit so we get our waypoint, and probably have him come up in about 5 frames. And that looks pretty good. Now let's just see what we're at here. Say 96 frames. Let's just do a quick preview. See if we've got the timing right. And it's rendered out. We got a little bit, and he flies off, goes back, and he's up. And that might be just a little bit quick here, but we'll just move this over maybe a little bit more. And we can just do another quick render, another preview. And here's our preview. And that looks pretty good. Well, as you can see, Synfig has totally screwed up my animation. There's no controls. I've tried to save it and reload it, this animation is totally screwed up. So this is why I personally don't use Synfig. I use Anime Studio Debut for animation, for this puppet type animation. So I'm going to have to stop you doing this particular animation and create it from scratch. So I'll be back when I've created it from scratch again. Okay, I'm going to give up on this tutorial. Hopefully what you've seen in the up to what I got to so far was going to be helping you on how to do something, and I'll just put my video that I did before on and previous to get to this at the end, so you can see how it works, and hopefully you'll be able to do something. But like I say, Synfig is open source, it's finicky, crashes a lot. I've had it trying to correct this, crashed many times, so that's why I've given up on this tutorial. Anyways, good luck, have a go. Maybe if you have more patience than I do. Take care.